how are people running and shooting in Counter-Strike 2? This is a question that a lot of you guys have been asking recently. It's something that is super frustrating to die to inside of this game. And today I'm going to showcase you everything that you need to do in order to be one of these people that have high movement speed while shooting, while running, and still be, essentially fully accurate. So there's a lot more science behind it than you might think. It's not just all random. Of course, there's times where we're getting unlucky. I already know people are commenting, Gojo, they just full running jumping shot me. Of course, that's still gonna happen. There is randomness, there's probability that's involved in a lot of this stuff, but today I'm gonna break down as much of it as I can for you and make sure you are performing at your highest level. Before we get into that, I do have to give you a message about how to get some sick skins like this and this and this inside of Counter-Strike 2.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skins Monkey. They are one of the greatest and easiest to use CS2 trading sites out there. You can swap out the skins you do not like for brand new ones that are so much more fresh. Even skins that are trade locked can be secured by adding them to your backpack. The greatest thing about the site is that you can buy skins for so much cheaper with a 35% deposit bonus when you use my code, KOJO. Make sure to check out the freebie section where you can get a free skin just by completing tasks. On top of the bonuses, you also get a $5 bonus when clicking the link in the description.
The reason that people are essentially running and shooting and killing you comes down to a lot of different things. For those of you that are new to the game, I'm going to break down the simplest reason why people are running and shooting you first, which is why they are using weapons that are very high movement speed and still fully accurate. SMGs, right, in the game, so anything like an MP9, UMP, MP7, while running and shooting are going to be pretty much fully accurate, right? A lot of the stuff is there's going to be spread, there's going to be different kind of things, but the bullets shoot so fast that even if you miss one, you're still going to be able to, jump around, do all these things, right, and have high movement speed. So the first reason why people are able to do this is because they're using SMGs, also pistols, guys, USPs, Glocks. If they're moving around and running, they are very accurate still, right? It's just the nature of the game. For these type of weapons, people have a lot of complaints because it's like, it feels like Call of Duty, right? But you gotta understand that's how you've got to use these guns, especially with the Glock, especially with the Tech 9. If you're not running and shooting, you're probably doing something wrong, right? So even the 5.7, when you're in close range, one of the strategies I use for these pistols is don't stop moving. The second you stop moving, you are now a sitting target. You're like an aimbot where they just have to track their crosshair to where you are. You are always going to be a harder target to hit when you are using your strafe keys, when you're moving around, when you're doing these things, right? So when you have these guns, take advantage of that. And that's why sometimes, guys, it can actually feel like you have a higher success rate on the T side specifically when you have a Tech 9 and you're like, dude, how am I winning all these eco rounds but losing the gun rounds? Because on the eco rounds, you're running around, shooting, having a fun time. You're pretty loose with the way you're playing. But then on your actual gun rounds, you're sitting there and you're just crouching or you're holding an angle. Of course, it's gonna be harder, right? You have the better gun, but you're not moving. You're making yourself a much easier target to hit. So first, I want you guys to all understand that, especially newer players that play the game kind of already know that. But the reason now that people are actually able to be moving and running and doing all these things with the rifles isn't as random as you think, and it's actually something that was in Counter-Strike Global Offensive as well, guys. So one thing I was always taught in that game, and it's even more relevant today, is that strafing while shooting is actually a good thing. Why? Because it's the same concept that we just talked about for the first reason. But we just have to break it down, and when we have a rifle, actually make sure we're doing it a lot more consistently and less random. So when we're shooting, I'm moving this whole time, right? Like the whole time I'm shooting, I am moving my legs back and forth. I'm going left and right doing this. And do you see, like, I'm essentially fully accurate. A lot of the bullet spread is just from me not controlling my recoil as good. And I mean, that's still good, right? Like that's still good recoil control. With the A1S, I'm going to tell you right now, this gun is the gun that you should be moving the most with because it is so precise. It's so accurate. The recoil pattern is not hard at all. And here's the thing, guys. I don't want you moving and running around at all times, but I'm telling you, if you are that player that can at least move and do these things, you're going to be so effective, right? So the first reason people are moving while shooting is because they're actually fully accurate. They're keeping their movement speed with their strafes, right? When they're going left and right, they're keeping their movement speed low enough that the punishment from like movement doesn't apply to them because they're very low speed. Essentially, you become inaccurate in this game when your speed reaches higher and higher thresholds, right? The more movement speed you have, the more inaccurate you become. So if you're close right now, we're 0 movement speed, right? We're just holding. the closer we are to 0, the more accurate we're going to be. If we just do one little strafe like this, we're not going to be that inaccurate no matter what we're using. But if we're holding dub, or we're holding our strafe key and not counter strafing, of course we're going to be inaccurate. Like, look at where all those bullets are going, right? So that's one reason why people are moving and shooting, and it's so frustrating. It's annoying. The other reason, guys, is a lot of times they are actually utilizing their crouch button too. So they are doing a super wide swing, but then they're crouching back. They're canceling their movement speed with a crouch, essentially going to 0 speed or close to 0 as soon as they can, and then strafing back the other direction. No matter if you're using the A1S, the AK, whatever gun in this game, when you're crouched and moving to a direction, you're pretty much fully accurate, right? Like, it's not 100%. But if I'm literally just pressing my crouch key right now, so I'm pressing crouch and then using my A key, I don't get punished, right? I get to just shoot fully accurate. So what they're doing is they are running around, right? Like, they are running. You're not wrong. They are running, peeking you. They are doing these things, but then they're crouching back, or they're utilizing a crouch and then, you know, going back into spraying you down. So that's one thing a lot of people do too, is they just instantly cancel that speed. And so from your perspective, especially if you die like instantly and they do it very properly, where they're peeking, they're running, and then boom, they stop, or boom, they counter strafe, even without a crouch. Counter strafing the other direction is sick. Boom, they actually weren't, like, you know, running while shooting. To your eyes, it just looked like they were running and shooting, because like that movement was still going on. So those are the most basic reasons why that's happening. Now, like I said, there's randomness, and at the end of the day, guys, you've got to abuse what works. So with the SMGs, but especially the A1S, there is times where I will just be running and shooting. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Or, you know, sometimes even like while you're falling, you could be shooting and fall down, like, while you're doing that, right? There is times in this game where you need to just kind of see if the RNG, the luck, is on your side. You know, I've seen it time and time again, where if I know somebody's close doors, but like I need to get to site, I can't stop and take that fight or do anything, I'll literally just come across here, and then they might take one bullet as they're holding this angle. They might take one bullet, and then they're like, dude, like, what? Like, this guy's running and you just shot me, and then it distracts them and I cross. And then from their perspective, I was just running and shooting, and they're not wrong, but I was just lucky with a bullet, or I had RNG that was to my favor. So you guys got to understand that sometimes that's just how it is. And especially at close range, even with AKs, right? You might be playing close here, and this guy might just run out, right? He just runs out shooting you and running like this, and you're like, dude, he is just running and shooting me. How is he doing like this? It isn't fair, right? It isn't, but that's just how the game works. So, you know, in a way it is fair, because he just got lucky. And sometimes it's not your game, guys, right? Sometimes it's not your game. Sometimes people are jumping out here and running and shooting, and it's still funny. Look at that with the A1S. Look how accurate that was. So I'm telling you, when you have this gun, the A1S, use it as a running gun. If you're a new player though, don't build those bad habits, please. This is more for the advanced players that already know the real recoil control, the movement, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, guys, it always pays off to be moving. Always pays off. You can be fully accurate, and from the other players' perspective, you are still running around and moving. So these are just a few reasons. If this video gets a lot of gain, a lot of traction, I might go into a more in-depth, even more in-depth reason and video as to why this happens. But in the meantime, guys, check out the other videos on my channel. I want you to become the best player possible. I have 15,000 hours in this game. I want to help you out. I want to help you learn. I also do coaching, so if you would like to be coached by me, I'd like to do that, and we're gonna be doing some more coaching content soon, so it might be a chance to get on this channel or another channel. So yeah, appreciate every single one of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Keep working hard, keep grinding, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace out.